Meantime, Democratic U.S. House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries says declaring war is up to Congress, not U.S. President Donald Trump.
Article 1 of the Constitution explicitly provides Congress with the authority to declare war, period, full stop. And the framers of the Constitution made that decision because they were concerned about kings throughout time getting their people into unnecessary wars, impoverishing them or imperiling their very well-being by sending them off to a foreign conflict. And that's why the power was given explicitly to the House and to the Senate.
CTV News, the U.S. political analyst Eric Ham joins us now. Eric, I'm interested to know what, again, you heard from Hakeem Jeffries, but what both other Democrats and Republicans are saying about this point in particular, because it feels like it could be a sticking one, and leading up to this possible confrontation was certainly something that many in Washington were discussing.
Yeah, that's right. In fact, we know that this discussion is going to really open out into the open tomorrow when lawmakers are back. And we know that there's already a war powers resolution that is on the table. In fact, this has already been discussed several times, in fact, of focusing on Iran and Venezuela previously. It did not get the support, narrowly failing to pass either chamber of Congress. But now that this war is taking effect, and now the president says that this could last 4 to 5 weeks. We just learned that another American service member was killed in the conflict, and already gas prices are beginning to inch back up, which shows that the American people are becoming increasingly more concerned about the economy, about inflation, about rising prices as this conflict plays out. And with Donald Trump's poll numbers now beginning to crater even further as a result of 1 in 4 Americans saying that they do not want to see the United States engaged in Iran, this is going to make for a very interesting debate and vote when lawmakers take to the floor. Already we know a number of Republicans are overwhelmingly supporting the president, but the question becomes, how long does that support last when so many of the American people are saying they don't want this, and they're making their voices heard, particularly as we look ahead to the midterm elections in November?
Yeah, and I think that's the ultimate question, too. And it feels like Donald Trump really hasn't necessarily been paying attention to what the American people want, with those poll numbers still continuing to drop right now. You know, maybe I'll put you on the spot a little bit, Eric, but how do you think this plays out? You know, do you think that we actually will see any Republicans side with the Democrats when it comes to this issue in particular, or will that go beyond this week, and if this continues for the next several days and weeks, that could change again?
I think if there's a vote on this week, I think even if it passes both chambers, it doesn't have enough support for the president to get over a veto. And so even if it passes, Donald Trump will simply veto the resolution. However, if this actually comes up in, say, 2, 3, 4 weeks, when the United States is still bogged down in Iran, I think it has greater potential to have more Republicans actually support it. As we're seeing right now, the American people are up in arms over this. And when gas prices continue to rise, I think we're going to really begin to see the barbarians at the gate. But right now, President Donald Trump does appear to have the support that he needs to either veto the legislation outright or to see it actually fail. We know, at least in the Senate, Democrat, Republican lawmakers, including Rand Paul of Kentucky, Susan Collins of Maine, and Lisa Murkowski of Alaska, are 3 people who are looking like they may not support this. However, Democratic Senator John Fetterman of Pennsylvania has already made clear that he will not support any resolution to try to restrict the president's powers on the ongoing conflict in Iran. So right now, it's looking like this thing could go either way, but nevertheless, it's not a veto-proof piece of legislation at this point.
Okay, certainly an interesting part of this story. CTV News U.S. political analyst Eric Ham with us again today. Thanks, Eric.